TSP Moments is brought to you by Bloomfilter. The industry failure rate of software projects is now over 70%, and the great minds at Bloomfilter want to fix that. Bloomfilter is a new app that brings unprecedented amounts of data about every one of your projects straight to your fingertips, giving you insight never before seen in any one single app. Bloomfilter's revolutionary new project platform dramatically improves communication, predictability, and efficiency across the software development lifecycle. Bloomfilter provides software teams complete visibility into their projects to drive consistent, valuable outcomes. Working hard just isn't enough anymore. You need to work smart as well, and Bloomfilter is how you do it. So head on over to bloomfilter.co, that's BLOOMFILTER.co, to sign up today and start changing the way you work. Hello and welcome to TSP Moments from the Thoughtful Software Podcast, the show where we take a look back and a deeper dive into some of the topics that have been discussed on the Thoughtful Software Podcast. My name is Jason Hoflich, and today we're going to be taking a look at collaboration architecture. We're going to be heading back to episode 41 for this one. So what is collaboration software? Well, collaboration software, collaboration architecture, these are terms used to describe the sharing and management of data across several systems to work jointly and remotely on projects. Now, the purpose of collaboration architecture is flexibility, to be able to create a workspace that allows for teams to work seamlessly together, regardless of where each member is located, and this is supposed to increase the productivity among the individual team members. Now, from what I can tell, there's really four main reasons why collaboration architecture has become so critical. First, technology is evolving faster than any other industry on the planet, and as a result, the necessity of being able to speak to your colleagues to make crucial decisions in a matter of seconds has never been more critical. In the past, you'd have to schedule these meetings with management days in advance, you'd have to wait for approval, and now tech leaders are actually empowering their employees to make critical decisions, and that freedom means increased velocity in the type of work being done. A second reason is the current and ongoing pandemic. COVID-19 has forced many companies to go remote. And in an era where we were already seeing the fourth industrial revolution taking place via digital transformation, the need to work remotely due to the pandemic has only accelerated this process. Now, in the early stages of the pandemic, with nearly everybody facing either furlough or working remotely, those who did work remotely depended upon collaboration software such as Slack, Asana, Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, FlowDoc, for instance. Without these types of collaboration tools, it would have been really challenging, actually if not impossible, to continue to operate at a productive level. So there's some speculation, though, that once the pandemic is over, despite complications from the Delta variant and Mu variant and things that we're seeing come up, many, if not all, brick and mortar offices are going to return to the same or maybe even somewhat altered work schedule that was common before the pandemic. However, returning to a pre-pandemic work setting does not seem likely for every industry, maybe certain industries, but McKinsey in 2020 predicted that most of the post-pandemic recovery would actually be digital in nature. So 1 year later, several companies are either extending their remote work setups to a later date or they're becoming partially remote, if not even fully remote. Third, employees are becoming accustomed to working from home, and they're really enjoying that flexibility that offers them to be able to set their own hours, take care of the kids whenever they need to, take the dog for a walk, whatever it is that they're doing. Working from home is giving them the flexibility to be able to work and do that. And it isn't just that there's the perception of freedom or flexibility. There's actual data that's backing this up as well. In June of this year, Apollo Technical published an article in which they took a look at several different surveys conducted by different research groups. One of the ones in particular that was very interesting was done by Connect Solutions, and what they found was that among those who were working from home, 77% showed increased productivity. What makes this even more fascinating is that 30% of those were doing more work in less time, and 24% were doing more work overall. Now, I'm sure over the years or in the coming months that there's going to be more studies done on remote work about its productivity, about its effectiveness. But if it's true that it is found to be more productive, that it's better off for the bottom line of a company, then it stands to reason that more companies are going to transition that way, and you're going to need collaboration architecture to help you do that. A fourth and final reason is that remote work and collaboration software are virtually pandemic-proof. This means decreased layoffs, stable productivity, and fewer overhead costs altogether. Think of it kind of like a building that's being built in Florida, for instance. When you build homes in Florida, when you build businesses in Florida, especially those along the coast, you're building them to be able to withstand stronger winds, heavier rains, hurricanes, storms, those sorts of things. And you're building them with that in mind, knowing that they may need that protection, that they may need that stability. Remote transformation, collaboration architecture, collaboration software, these things are pandemic proof. They're being used and put in place in mind, knowing that even if a global pandemic takes place, effective, productive work can still happen. And of course, this isn't to say that a pandemic wouldn't affect a business like that, but remote work, collaboration architecture certainly add a layer of protection. In other words, they're not just designed to function with stability in mind, they're designed to function productively despite any kind of disaster or deterrence that may occur. And not to mention, as we look to the future, the need for collaboration software is only going to become greater. The workplace is going to continue to adapt, technology is going to continue to evolve, and the need for collaboration software is only going to grow. And meaning the need for these more robust collaboration options is going to require smarter software. A few examples of where we might see this might be AI and virtual assistants and consulting, intelligent search and task prioritization, machine learning, which will help minimize some more of the mundane tasks, VR and AR adoption, and smart meeting rooms. Now, of course, these aren't exhaustive, but these examples demonstrate that collaboration technology is becoming a regular part of everyday life, and the adoption and integration of these types of technologies are going to be necessary to stay competitive and avoid failure in the future. Keeping up with collaboration architecture, seeing where it's going in the future, and trying to envision scenarios in which it may best be used and adapted is where our conversation with Andrew and Fahad picks up.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think Envision and Figma are a really good case study on like the trade-offs. Like you've mentioned this before in some other discussions that we've had, where Envision is now trying to play catch up to Figma, and they're basically trying to build the same features instead of trying to lead. And Figma's, trying to innovate and lead more. And it seems like the trade-offs they're making is not. And the trade-off is they don't want to innovate; they just want to kind of copy. And I'm curious, like when companies are thinking about projects or products, and okay, we need to build in some sort of collaboration. Should they bring first like these foundational pieces, or should they like look at something that they could innovate around? Like, how would you approach that?
I think there's that old axiom where people are skating to where the puck is versus where the puck's going to be. I would look at how to transform your space to make it collaborative. Let's say you're building a CRM. How can we make CRM work with engineers? Has anyone ever asked them that question? I doubt it. Most salespeople that would build a CRM usually don't have to work with engineers, but maybe that's valuable. I don't know if that's valuable. I don't know if anyone would buy it, but it's something I think about. Where is sales going to be in the next 7 years for a SaaS company or 10 years, right? Don't build what Salesforce is building. They're going to beat you at it. Trust me, they have their own roadmap. They know exactly what they're doing. They're an effective company. And so you have to really think about where things are going, apply your own values, apply your own thesis, and do that. Because that's what's going to make collaboration great. When people think of a new way to collaborate, that's what makes the software awesome, right? Figma thought of a way to make people collaborate differently than they were doing before. And that's what makes it a great tool. And I think there's a lot of room for a lot of tools like Figma. Software architecture is a collaborative process across many different disciplines: product, operations, engineering, to name a few. Customer support, like I said at the beginning of the call, isn't isolated anymore. It's a collaboration between almost the entire company now, right? What other disciplines aren't being served with the data that they need, with the interaction they need to make sure that they're successful? And when you look at your product in that light, I think it's really easy to say, I'm going to make a customer success focused CRM that allows, a higher success rate on repeat contracts because it's more collaborative. And if you can prove that, then that's extremely valuable if your business needs repeat business. That makes you an option where Salesforce probably wouldn't be. I think the first step is building a culture that values collaboration. And what I mean by that is I would look at what's called a value stream mapping of the company and say, where are the handoffs at my business? right? Where does customer success talk to sales? Where does sales talk to marketing? Where does marketing talk to product? Where does product talk to engineering? Where does engineering talk to design? Where are those handoffs at to create value for my customers? And once you know that, you can start seeing where your systems aren't integrating, where people aren't talking together. And I think the second step is start integrating your existing systems, right? That's another form of translating things from one language to another. When I take a Salesforce object and put it into NetSuite for accounting, that's translating from close one opportunity, one word, opportunity means something in sales, to an invoice in NetSuite. Again, that's speaking their language, right? And once you have the integration, then you can start building processes around cleaner handoffs and tooling around your custom processes that may exist between these departments. And that's where you start getting collaboration first architectures. I also think tools like Figma are easy to adopt because you're already feeling the pain of it if you have a design, engineering, and product team, aka you're doing it right. When you get in there, adopting something like that to make it easier, make it more transform the way you're working. I think it does take someone bold to do that, but once you see the gains, you'll start seeing where you could start making these collaboration decisions and start building these products that help not only your existing process, but revolutionize them. What if we didn't have to do this? What if the entire sales process was collaborative? You look at Skip List. One of the things that makes us great is that our engineers and our product people and our sales people all work together to make statements of work. That doesn't happen at other companies. That's usually isolated in one company or one department, sales, via sales engineers and all that. But that makes our SOWs more accurate and all that. What if we built a collaboration system internally to Skip List, and it focused around making SOWs better and more collaborative, via a system instead of the way we do it now in Word, right? And we start thinking like that. That's just one example from us internally, but I bet there's tens of more here at Skip List that we could do. And if you look at your business and you really start thinking about these are where people work, but they don't work very effectively, you can start imagining systems that make it better.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.